That is a big question, and one that I think Auburn's offensive line, we're not where we were when it was the absolute worst thing and we were all complaining about it all the time.
It is almost here. We still got a little bit of a ways.
Almost.
Still talking season, so we're going to talk about it. Fall camp, depending on when you are listening to this, it starts for us in about 3 days on Wednesday, August 2nd. Which, by the way, is that earlier than normal? I know it's at the beginning of August, but I always felt like it was August 7th or 9th or a little bit later. Is that just me?
I'm not sure. It feels early, but then you think about it, and that's a month until the first game. So, with them, it always feels like they kind of want to get some time in before classes start, so they have their full attention. So, I'm not sure when classes start. I think it's maybe 2 weeks later.
Usually, that's how it lays out, about 2 weeks from when classes start. But
so it's early, but I mean, good for them.
It is. It feels a little bit earlier, but I'm not complaining about it because, listen, we all need something to distract us at this point to get to that actual opening day for college football, at least for Auburn football, even though there's now a week 0. That's so weird. All right, but let's talk about month 0, I guess, and fall camp. This is always very exciting to discuss. At the start, it gets kind of dull towards the middle because there's only so much you can speculate and talk about, and only so much we can take away from what's being shared through the media with fall camp, and we'll do some of that along the way. But I just like to do like an informal preview of it. I've got some questions, but is there a topic like off your mind first that you'd like to discuss around looking ahead to fall camp? And then if you take one of my questions, I'll fill them in after that.
Nothing super stands out. I think we're all obviously wondering. The main position group we all want to know what's going to happen is, of course, long snapper. No, it's quarterback.
We know what's happening. Reed Hughes is going to be doing some awesome videos this year. Come on. I mean, that's not even a question at this point. Running with Reed, one of the best social media phenomenons ever. I mean, come on. We know that.
Obviously, we know that's taken care of. But I mean, quarterback. I'm sure that was one of your 5 questions.
It was actually not my first one, but let's go ahead and talk about it. That was number 2. But the quarterback position. So thoughts?
I mean, it's what we all want to know, right? It's what every team wants to know. If it's not already established, who's your quarterback going to be? And Auburn at this moment does not have a certified quarterback 1 starter. I think when you look at Robbie Ashford and Peyton Thorne, those are your 2 that are going to be, one of them is going to be the guy. It's going to come down to this last month to kind of see how they do well in practice, how they do well communicating, leading the team, for Hugh Freeze to pick his guy. I think, and I heard a lot of people talking about this during media days, I think it'd be silly not to play both of them. I don't mean that as in like we play, we alternate series and we do the whole mumbo jumbo thing again. But I think that we know, everyone that has watched Robbie, regardless of how you feel about how well he did as a quarterback, he has the athleticism that can help you on the field. And so I think Robbie will play if he's not the quarterback 1. But those are all things to be determined and things they're going to have to work out during fall camp before the real games get going.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, if your quarterback's not set, that's where everybody's mind goes, and I understand completely that. But it's only question 2, but just my quick take on it. I think if you are not at least leaning that Peyton Thorne is going to be the starter, you're not being honest and just trying to create a story, basically. But when I say that, please hear me. Robbie Ashford does not need to be removed from this situation and the possibility of starting.
Sure.
We have seen what Hugh Freeze does with especially mobile quarterbacks. We know that Robbie's got some things to work on from what we've seen from his path, the few games that we've had with him on throwing and accuracy and things like that. But he's also thrown some pretty good gems too. So when you take talent like that with the right coaching, maybe you never know what can happen. It's hard to also argue with Peyton Thorne's experience, and he's not an unmobile quarterback himself. Both have had some injuries, so I think we are going to see both. Obviously, one more significantly than the other, but in enough time to kind of get a good look at all of them. I don't want to also dismiss Holden Geriner from this equation. I think you also have to be honest and say it's those 2 guys, but he's going to have a shot at this thing too.
Sure.
I really like the way that Hugh laid it out at media days. Let me go back to question number 1. Jarquez Hunter.
Yeah.
Without going into the alleged controversy, there is a question of whether he will play / have some repercussions for alleged events. I think it's been basically in the back channels of, I'll say, social media message boards that he is going to play. And I have not once doubted that, but it is a big question. So if we get to Wednesday, we see him out there dressed out, that's going to make people feel better, but we won't really know true what is or isn't going to happen on that front until he does or doesn't suit up and run out there as the starting running back, because right now he's the starting running back and should be assumed as much. Is that a fair way to take it?
I think that's a fair way to take it. And I think we will see him out there at fall practice on Wednesday. I'm not saying that I know anything. I'm not saying I wouldn't surprise me either if he's not there for the first game, just because it's, it is punishment, but it's also UMass. But in a way, with the way things transpired, regardless of what actually happened, how it happened, no matter what, I think all involved kind of agree that, there has to be something done here because of, one, how public it is, and just two, there's an investigation further that has gone on, and
Yes.
they've been able to figure that out themselves. But
Right.
It wouldn't surprise me. I don't think that should concern anyone.
Right.
But I think, obviously him being with this team raises their floor and ceiling much more. You want to have him there if he should be there. And I think that everything will end up turning out okay. But that has to be number one question. That's why you're the host and I'm your co-host. You think about those things.
The quarterback is very important, but we need to secure those things that we know. We know we have we have a great running back room regardless. But
Absolutely.
We know that we have quite a talent in Jarquez Hunter, and we would like to have him out there as long as he can be out there. So we'll wait and see. Don't read too much into anything. Everybody just sit back and chill out on that for a little bit is all I could say. Last couple questions that I had, or few questions, I guess I should say to be correct. Question number 3. What does the offensive line rotation look like? So many new faces, Austin. It seems like maybe a lot of these upperclassmen transfers are going to be the ones that fill in. Maybe a Jeremiah Wright still in there. Maybe a Tate Johnson works his way back in if he's, healthy enough. Any quick thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of transfers brought in, with a lot of guys with other experience. We've talked about them before. It's not so much about talent. It is, you want to have big guys and you want to have guys that are physically demanding but also talented. But you got to have guys that'll gel together too. And
right.
We've talked about how working as one and working as a collective unit is how that offensive line, trusting each other is how that offensive line is going to be at its best. So figuring out the rotation and figuring out those guys of who's going to be your best 5 to be out there at one time is the challenge for Coach Jake Thornton and Phil Montgomery and Hugh Freeze. So that is a big question, and one that I think Auburn's offensive line, we're not where we were when it was the absolute worst thing and we were all complaining about it all the time. But there's still progress and a ways to go to make sure that it can help this offense to its full potential.
Absolutely. Question number 4 that I have, it's again a broad one, even broader than that offensive line one. More than just the defensive line, but that front 7. We all know that defensive backs just return so much talent, and we return talent too on the front 7, but who's going to be in that mix and what's it going to look like, especially under a Ron Roberts defense? You can go back and look at what he did previously and say, oh, surely that's what he's going to do. You don't know what talent he has here to work with and how he's going to have to adjust that. Is there maybe for just quick answer for this, is there a name that you expect to be prominent in that front 7 at least?
Yeah, I don't want to harp on the transfers, but I hope and expect that Justin Rogers from Kentucky is a big guy. I mean, that was a guy wanted by lots of programs for what he's already done and what he can be capable of doing. And so I hope that him transferring from Kentucky to Auburn is big. Auburn needs guys that are willing to get down and dirty and plug up the holes on the defensive line. So hoping that he's involved. with the losses of guys that we kind of expected to step up, I'm thinking of Dylan Brooks and others. I'm hoping that those guys who are ready to step up can be. Jason Jones might be one that I'm hoping can kind of take a next step forward and be involved a lot this year too. So is there anyone you're thinking of that I'm missing there?
Elijah McAllister.
Of course.
Listen, I'm going to continue to pump this man as much as I can. He is an impressive specimen off and on the field. And look, I don't know how this is all going to shake out in fall camp, who's going to earn what playing time. I just know that I'm glad I have that guy on my team, and I'm proud that he is going to be a leader for that team.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of Elijah McAllister.
That's good.
So I'm just going to stick to that for now. It's my cheat code right now, because I think I can win on all aspects with that. And my final question, just more of a fun one. Is there going to be anything different about this fall camp? Like, does Hugh Freeze, do something differently? Is there a different way of spreading out the practices? Is there a different style? That's probably not a question you and I can answer, right?
Sure.
We probably can't answer that one. But it's just something that I'd like for you, the Auburn family, to ponder and just pay attention to. Is there something different that maybe we'll talk about on a next episode? So in kind of a roundabout order, those were the 5 questions that I personally had, and I wanted us to kind of touch on just as a informal preview to what will be, I'm sure, an exciting and fun, drawn out fall camp too, because we are all waiting to see the Hugh Freeze era. Just sit back, folks, because September 20th, September 2nd, will be here before you know it.